Welcome into KSU Nation, the fastest growing K-State and Big 12 podcast and YouTube channel out there. I'm Stevie B.
And I'm Kenny G.
And in today's episode, we're going to hear from Kenny G about K-State's win over Colorado 31-28. We're going to talk Big 12 Week 7 and do our power rankings as well. Before we do that, though, Kenny, there's something going on with our subscribe button, isn't there?
Yeah, Steve, we've been having this issue. I mean, I don't know how it's possible for us to have so many viewers watching our videos and yet so little subscribers. The only thing I can think of, Steve, is that our subscribe button is broken. So if you can do yourself a favor, do us a solid and do yourself a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure it's working. We need to continue to trial and error or what's the word, Steve? What's the word when you diagnose. We have to diagnose this issue, Steve. We need to get to the bottom of it. Our subscribe button's not working and we need to figure it out. The best way to figure it out is for you to hit it.
Absolutely. And if you're a K-State fan in particular or any Big 12 fan, this YouTube channel is for you. We have stuff for everyone: Arizona, BYU, K-State, Colorado, UCF. We talk about every one of you guys for football and for basketball as well. So make sure you guys like and subscribe. Today's live stream, we're going to talk about K-State's win over Colorado, like we talked about. It's mostly going to be Kenny talking about it because I went live yesterday for a solo stream. And I know Kenny listened to it. I know a bunch of other people watched it as well. So it's really going to be Kenny here. And I want to get right to you, Kenny. You and I watched the game together. I want to get your initial thoughts on K-State beating Colorado 31-28 and shutting up a lot of those Buffaloes fans.
What happened to them, Steve? Where did they go? They were here. They were talking a big game. I don't know what happened. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, oh, man. I mean, maybe a couple of them are going to show up in the chat. Maybe a few of them actually have a spine in their back. No, not a single one. They're all fake fans. They're not even casual fans. They're literally bandwagoners. And we saw it on full display, Steve. They started unsubscribing. They started making a bunch of excuses. The cope is real. I had to go down all of our comments and I had to sit there and go, cope, you're coping. There's the cope. Because you want to know what they said, Steve? They made a bunch of excuses, which is basically coping. You lost the game. This was basically your Super Bowl. You had a sold-out crowd. You brought all the celebrities in because you're finally actually playing a good team. Congratulations. When you play a good team, you get smacked in the mouth. All right? Kansas is historically, under Chris Klieman, a 1-4 team coming off the bye week in
Kansas
away
State.
Games.
I want to correct you really quick. You said Kansas State. There's a big difference.
Kansas State. You know, listen, we're on KSU Nation, all right? Anytime I say Kansas, look, KU, I'll just hit this really fast. KU's not even in the picture, okay? They're already worrying about basketball, okay? They already got ranked number 1. Their football season is completely in shambles. There is no other Kansas team in football right now, as far as I'm concerned. They don't even have a freaking stadium, Steve. All right. So anytime I say Kansas, you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Wildcats. All right. Now, what I'm going to get to here, this was their Super Bowl, Steve. They knew that the Wildcats were coming into town. They brought all the celebrities in, right? And Coach Prime never said a bad thing about K-State. You want to know why? Because he knew. He knew that he was going up against a real football team. There was no trash talk. There was no excuse from Coach Prime. He want to know why? Because his son got completely embarrassed. And he even called out his own son. He said, yeah, he played horrible. I mean, okay. I want to slow down. I'm a little too excited. I'm a little revved up. And that is due to the fact that these Colorado fans, they revved me up. Okay, they revved me up. But to sit there and say, where do I want to go first? I'll go to this. The number one excuse the number one coping mechanism that they went to was our best player was out of the game and blah, 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 blah. Even when he was in the game, he was a non-factor. He was a non-factor against what K-State was doing. I saw the game. I watched DJ truck Travis Hunter. I watched him truck him multiple times. It wasn't even, it was actually laughable. Travis Hunter was not a factor in K-State's win. I mean, he was nowhere to be seen even when he was in the game. So I don't want to hear that excuse. The fact that you guys made big plays, well, congratulations. You were literally you were picking on a red shirt freshman who has only played one snap. Not even a snap. He was on special teams. He was on a kickoff. He played one kickoff play since the season started, and he had to get in, had to step into Jacob Parrish's role. That's a big deal. That's a huge deal. Our defensive scheme against Colorado, say what you want. Our best linebacker couldn't be in there because he wasn't part of the scheme. Austin Romaine is the best linebacker, arguably the best linebacker in the Big 12. And it's just the way that they designed the scheme. He's really most effective when they're running three linebackers, but they were running a 4-2 most of the game because they were wanting to put the pressure on.
He was still second on a team in tackles,
which is insane. That's how good he is. He wasn't even in the game for most of the defensive plays. All right, next, they kept saying this is actually hilarious, Steve. K-State is so excited because they beat a non-ranked team. How many times did you hear that? This was the most hilarious. You barely escaped against a non-ranked team. You guys were all in the comments saying, "Oh, we're so this, we're so that. We're gonna be the best. We run the Big 12, blah 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 blah." And now all of a sudden you're an unranked team that you're just happy to be there. Give me a break. Give me a break. You can't have it both ways. You guys, at least K-State knows what we have. At least the fans know what we have. You want to know why? Because we didn't just go out and buy these flashy players and get a bunch of NFL players to come coach for our team. We had to work to get to this point. We've been through the years of struggle. We've been through the heartaches. We've been through it all. We know that K-State is a program that's here to last. I hope you enjoy this season because next season it's back to 1 and 2 win seasons for Colorado. You guys are going to lose Dion. You're going to lose all of his sons aren't going to stick around. Shiloh's not going to stick around. And even if he does, I hope he does because he was embarrassed last Saturday. It was hysterical watching him get trucked by DJ. But you guys, go ahead. Continue to act like that UCF win was something big for you. It wasn't. It wasn't that impressive. Look, UCF is probably going to be they're literally fighting KU to be the worst team in the league, in the conference. I mean, they're literally trying to be the worst. It's insane. They don't, at least KU's got a quarterback. They don't even have that. So you guys are like, "Oh yeah, we blew the doors off of UCF." Congratulations. UCF might as well be a freaking 3A high school football team at this point. I mean, it's embarrassing watching that team. But
dude, you're coming in hot right now, dude.
I'm coming in a little hot. I had a lot of time to think about this, Steve. I had a lot of time to watch all these delusional Colorado fans. You guys are absolutely delusional if you think that you're a top team in this league. Well, look, the points don't lie. They gave us a good game. Okay. We had a lot of injuries in our secondary. Congratulations. Avery Johnson lost his ability to run. Okay. He was not able to run. And if you want to tell me that a quarterback is less of a
threat.
Well, maybe not threat, but I would just say a less of an importance in terms of a role on a team versus a two-way player, you're insane. The quarterback is the most important role in the entire team. I want to see you guys. If Travis Hunter was still playing, but Shador got hurt and was on the sideline, it wouldn't even be close. You guys would be like, you wouldn't be able to throw a single ball. You guys don't have the depth that K-State has. This is what separates good programs from bad programs, is the depth, the recruiting. Listen, Deion Sanders went out and got a whole bunch of freaking flashy players. He got all the wide receivers, he got the quarterback, and he got some good defense. You know what he didn't do, Steve? He didn't recruit for linemen. You know why? Because he probably doesn't give a shit about linemen. You know who does recruit for linemen? Chris Kleiman recruits for line. That's why we are able to just blow the doors off of the entire run. You can't stop the run. You can't even run the ball. Steve said it best. Your line is Swiss cheese on both ends. It's insane. Oh man. But going back to what I said about Avery went out of the game due to some sort of like non-contact injury. I don't even know what it is. It's something that had to do with his midsection, his obliques or something. He goes out of the game. We bring in our backup quarterback, who's, to be fair, he's got a lot of experience, transferred from UConn, 2,000 yards passing.
Well, played pretty well.
He played like he's been there before, and he knew how to handle the moment. Love to see it. Again, K-State, what did I say? The depth. The fact that we could actually bring in a backup quarterback and be able to still score on that. It's like, you think Colorado's got that? No chance. They have it in their wide receivers, but that's because every dad in America is telling their highly ranked son to go play for Deion because it's Deion Sanders. But guaranteed, I mean, every dad that has a quarterback is not going, well, go play for Deion, because they know that he'd never get a snap because his son is literally the quarterback. So Avery Johnson, his biggest threat is that he has one of the most incredible abilities of running out of the pocket, scrambling, and even just doing straight up QB run plays. That is his strength. That has been his strength since he came to K-State. We all knew he was a dual threat, but he's a little bit more on the threat is more leaning towards his legs. Him not being able to run, listen very carefully, Colorado fans. Avery Johnson not being able to run the ball is the equivalent to Deion not being able to throw the ball. Are you going to honestly tell me?
Shadur throw the ball, not Deion.
What did I say? Deion? Oh, my bad. Sorry. Avery not being able to run the ball is the equivalent to Shadur not being able to throw the ball. Okay? If Shadur had his elbow hurt or whatever, but he was still able to play the game, he would just have to hand it off or, do some run it himself. There's no way in hell they would be able to win the game. They got negative 29 yards in rushing. There is no way. They can't establish the run.
We are laughing at that.
I can't believe that is even a real stat. I can't even believe it. I cannot believe it's a real stat. But if you were to tell me, oh, Avery can't run the ball, now that hurts. But K-State's got way too many threats all over the map. DJ, Jace, our tight ends. If Avery can't run, Avery is
Dylan Edwards.
Yeah, I was getting to that point. Dylan Edwards. Keegan Johnson. We have threats all over the offense, and we don't have like a superstar player here, a superstar player here, a superstar player here. We just have a bunch of guys that can play together and click together and be on the same page, and offensive line that is effing stacked, and that is due to the fact of our recruiting. We recruit for the offensive line. Just look at full display. Do you think Deuce Vaughn, as talented as he is, do you think Deuce Vaughn would be able to do what he did at K-State if we didn't recruit well for an offensive line? No. I mean, he's talented, but you need an offensive line. You have to have an offensive line. It's just the facts. And when you don't recruit for that, you see what happens. You end up like Colorado. Yeah, the unranked Cope was obnoxious. I'm with you. Get along to get along. That was my response to every single comment about how, oh, you guys are lucky. That's cope. It's cope. All of it is cope. They're taking, what they're doing is they're taking a little mask and they've got a tank of copium next to their chair, and they're sucking in all that copium. Like, we're actually really good. You guys got lucky. You just keep breathing in that copium, Colorado. You'll get there one day. You'll get there one. It's probably not going to, this is their only season. I mean, that's why they're coming in so hot. This is their only chance to show the entire country that they're actually a good football program. It's going to, after this is all over, Steve, it's going right back to 1 and 2 wins.
I love that the initial thoughts were a 12-minute rant. Love it. I was not prepared for that. I guess I should have been. But yeah, I mean, you said everything that I wanted to say, man. I have nothing to add to that. I did a stream on it yesterday. Yeah, I mean, K-State won, and we were super happy to watch it together, dude. That pizza was delicious, by the way.
Super good.
Let's get right into this. We're going to talk about the offense first. Avery Johnson, which you just talked about ad nauseum, 15 and 23, 224 yards, 2 touchdown passes, back-to-back games where he had at least 2 touchdown passes. He did have 1 interception. Taquan Roberson came in 2 of 3, 14 yards, a big third down conversion to Jace Brown. On the ground, DJ Giddens was a man among men. 25 carries, 182 yards, no touchdowns. Dylan Edwards did have 7 carries for 21 yards and 1 touchdown. And the receivers finally showed out, man. Jace Brown led everyone, 6 catches, 121 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Back-to-back games with a touchdown. DJ Giddens also added 2 catches for 38 yards for a total of 27 touches for 220 total yards, man. What do you got to say about the offense here, dude? It feels like the entire offense was clicking. Everything they wanted to do was working.
Let's not forget about that pass that DJ dropped that could have been, honestly, it could have even been a touchdown. I mean, he was wide open. He missed that pass. Or he missed that catch. The first thing I got to say about the offense is that you have to shout out Connor Riley. I mean, I think you mentioned this in your video yesterday, Steve, but he was absolutely on point with every single one of his calls. I mean, he just had Colorado's number. I think initially Chris Kleiman said that they were playing a lot of zone defense in the early parts of the game, which allowed DJ to basically just continuously run the same play over and over and over and just get 10 yards, 7 yards, 12 yards. It was actually insane that we were just continuing to just feed DJ the ball and then let him go to work. It's a beautiful sight to see if you're a K-State fan. And especially if you're a DJ fan, it's the greatest thing to see. One of my favorite quotes that I heard all night was that DJ was running like someone stole his favorite fishing rod. I mean, that was the greatest quote I had ever heard. Like, he literally was running like someone broke his favorite fishing rod, the way he was being physical against these.
Sorry, that was King Fitz that tweeted that out. That was so funny.
King Fitz coming in with a sweet comment like that. I mean, it was absolutely clutch. But, like just putting DJ aside for just a second, which is really hard to do because of the amount of the performance that he put up is just something that you don't get to see very often if you're a different school program. But I mean, it just seems like DJ's getting better and better every single time. Every single game that he's able to get out there and just show what he can do. And hats off again to the offensive line, giving him the ability to pull it off. But honestly, there was a couple times DJ would get hit at 2 yards gained, bounce off, and then go for 13 more yards. I mean, his yards after contact is something incredible. But again, put DJ aside for just 2 seconds. We got to talk about Jace Brown. I mean, this dude stepped up this game. Where has this been all year? I mean, I'm kind of getting mad now because this should have been like this from the start. Because it's looking like we're getting middle to end of the season Jace Brown from last year. Like he's pulling it. He's pulling it off. He's doing great. His confidence is through the roof. From what I hear, things are going well. Things are going well for Jace Brown. I'm super excited. Dante Cephas, first play of the game, he catches the ball. What's going on here?
He caught the ball against Travis Hunter. He beat Travis Hunter, dude.
That's crazy. And that's a statement right there. That is a statement play right there. Execution was outstanding. There were only just a couple things here and there, but I mean, that's football. It's college football. It's not going to be, the number one team in the NFL sort of execution. You'd like to see that, but even the best teams in college mess up. So, all in all, I'm extremely impressed with the receivers. I mean, you can't deny the running game that DJ put on. Offense was actually incredible. We could literally do whatever we wanted. It seemed like there was no way that Colorado was going to stop us.
Yeah, and I said this yesterday. When K-State's balanced, when you can throw the ball with Avery Johnson to these receivers who finally stepped up in this game, and then you got DJ Giddens running the ball for 180 yards in back-to-back games. I mean, I don't know how you stop K-State. I literally do not know how you stop them. I mean, in the first half, it felt like Colorado was like, okay, let's take away their passing game. In the second half, they're like, okay, let's take away their run game. And both times, K-State adjusted. They did whatever they wanted on the ground in the first half, and in the second half, they did whatever they wanted throwing the ball. I don't know how you stop this offense right now, especially once Avery Johnson gets going running the ball as well. They didn't run him very much considering he was injured, but when he does run, I mean, he's a special talent, man. I mean, he has 8 total touchdowns in the last 2 games, 3 rushing, 5 passing. Oof. This K-State's got a great offense, and finally things are clicking with Connor Riley, Avery Johnson, a revamped offensive line. Finally, things are going like, well, this is how it should have been from the beginning, right? But we knew there was going to be growing pains. So,
yeah, I mean, and I'm glad to see, man. See, one of the biggest things I was nervous about is that really horrible stat coming out of a bye week for Chris Kleiman, 1-4. Now 2-4. That was super alarming. And then also everything else coming into that game, it was a night game. It was in a tough environment. It was in the mountains. Everything that basically set up for BYU, mountains, night game, away, sold out. Like the entire environment is almost comparable. I would say maybe BYU has something to say about that. Maybe BYU is probably a little bit more of a hectic environment, but people that were there said that it was wild. They said the fans were wild. They stayed the whole time. They were loud, and they got to witness a really great game. I would say in terms of K-State's offense, despite Avery, I mean, I believe Avery doesn't get hurt. We're scoring 40. We're scoring over 40 on Avery's legs. There's no way. You saw, like, even when he slipped, he was able to get a touchdown. I mean, they got to see the game-breaking speed of Avery Johnson for a glimpse. They caught a glimpse of it, Steve. They didn't get the whole
play, the touchdown
on one play.
How sweet was that touchdown celebration, dude? That touchdown celly was insane.
Oh, you mean the Deion Sanders dance? Oh, baby. You know that was just clutch. I mean, of all the celebrations you could have done, especially in Colorado, in front of the man who basically created that celebration. Whew. I mean, how many college football players are actually going to be able to say that? Like, after they scored a touchdown, they got to do the dance in front of Deion Sanders. I mean, that's Avery. You had the moment and you captured it. Like, the moment was there and you took full advantage of it, and I totally love it. I would say Avery Johnson's celebration is better than Jace Brown's little kiss to the cheerleaders. I mean, it's another level there. It's another level.
Yeah, I mean, and what I really loved about that is K-State went for it on fourth down. They were aggressive on that drive after Colorado took a 7-0 lead. 4th and 4 or 4th and 3 at that point, and they blitzed. And Avery Johnson is like, "Well, I'm faster than you. I'm going to get to the edge and score a touchdown." Like, I absolutely love the aggressiveness, and I love the play from Avery on that specific play, obviously. I'm shocked DJ rushed for 182 yards. It was 0 touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, 2 times they got inside the 2-yard line, and he did not score. One of them was they decided to go to a pass play after rushing it like every single down, getting down there. And then the other time they decided to give the ball to Dylan Edwards to score a touchdown against his former team, which I'm fine with too. Honestly, I don't think DJ Giddens cares one bit how many touchdowns he has. He does not care. He literally does not care. All he cares about is fishing and running dudes over.
Seriously, if you had seen his press conference, post game press conference, they were like, "Man, so I mean, what's your energy like? You know, what's it like? You know, being able to put a game like that together and just the performance you did." And he's like this. This is literally how he responds. Yeah, I mean, you know, it feels pretty good, but you know, my focus is the next game. he
That's
literally
DJ.
he doesn't
That's
even.
DJ.
It's like he's unfazed. He is unfazed. It's like I don't think if you handed him a sack of like $10 million and said, "Hey, here, this is," he's like, "Hey, yo, appreciate it, thanks." Like,
Yep, and he had 7.3 yards per carry, and he is well on his way to 1,000 yards, which I think it's Cole Manback that actually did the stats on that. Can you go ahead and break that down really quick before we get into our position grades?
Wait, say that again.
DJ Giddens could be the fastest K-State Wildcat running back
Oh,
ever to
yeah.
get to 1,000 yards.
Yeah, that's right. So, I can't remember where I heard this. I was talking to Steve about it.
I think it's Cole Manback from the KSNU,
That's right.
KCSNU channel.
So if you're listening to this and you don't
Fremont
listen to them, I understand. But I'm going to give you the stats here. The best running back in K-State history was Darren Sproles. Okay. The record that he has for the fastest, he has the record for the fastest 1,000 rushing yards in a season. It took him 10 games to get that stat to 1,000 yards with 159 snaps or touches or whatever. DJ is at DJ's at like 700 and some. I can't remember the exact number, but
I think it's 784 yards and 108 carries, which is 4th nationally in terms of rushing yards, but he has less carries than everyone in the top 6.
Yes. So he, as of right now, he is on track to beating Darren Sproles' record with only all he needs to, like, he could beat it with his average, because his average is like 7 some odd yards a carry, 7 point something yards a carry. If he keeps that average, he will be able to hit that 1,000 yards at 138 carries. Oh, there it is. Oh my gosh, right there. 138th carry will put him at 1,000 yards. Yeah. And if you do 159, if you do the math, he'll be at like 1,100 or something. If he continues at this average, who knows? He could even do better than this. He could even have a higher average. Who are we going against next week? We're going against West Virginia. They're a tough school. Who's after that? KU. Right? KU, I mean, if they're not completely demoralized at this point, DJ might have himself the most insane. Actually, I don't know, because DJ might end up just like playing a quarter, and then they're going to bring in their 7th string running back at that point, because the Cats are going to be up like by 85 points and KU will be at 0. So, I mean, who knows at that point? But I will say this. DJ he's one of my favorite players on K-State. I don't think it's a surprise to anybody at this point. Him, Jacob Parrish. I think DJ is going to break this record. He's going to cement his name as one of the best at K-State ever produced. And the fact that he came from Junction City, I mean, that's amazing. That everybody in Kansas at this point, every player in Kansas should look at K-State and be like, you know, I'm a highly rated player. Why would I want to go anywhere else? My family's here. K-State seems to value their, homegrown kids a lot. The
entire backfield is Kansas players. The entire backfield.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing more to say about that. I mean, K-State is the best school at taking players that are not highly rated. They do the most with the sum of their parts. Is that the right way to frame that? Like they're greater than the sum of their parts, based on like good solid coaching. They recruit people that have the non-tangibles. It seems like the people that like want to work hard and get better. And then those guys, maybe they weren't gifted with the talent, but their hard work and their effort and everything makes them better than the guys that have the talent. I mean, Travis Hunter is the most talented, gifted, talented person in the world. He gets a clean. One of our fourth string corners tackles him in a solid way, and he's out of the game. It was just a solid tackle. Sorry.
Absolutely. Casey keeps me fresh. I want all the records for DJ, the baddest dude to play running back. Love Sproles, Deuce, and Daniel Thomas, but man, DJ is so fun to watch. Yes, abso-freaking-lutely. I agree, Casey, and obviously Kenny's going to agree that's his favorite guy. And by the way, we are accepting super chats. We actually have it finally turned on. So if you guys want to support the channel, we would love it. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs, so make sure you guys tell your friends and family members and all of that, so we can start getting some money from our views.
This is a good time since you mentioned that, Steve, and we've got some pretty good viewers right now. This is a perfect time to mention a segment that we're going to start doing on Tuesdays during the K-State hot takes. We're going to accept people that do the super chats. We will take we're going to look at your hot take and we're going to discuss it. We're going to talk about like, what's good about it, how, like, maybe Steve and I will, either I'll take the positive, he'll take the negative, or whatever. The
good cop, bad cop on it. Yeah. I mean, I agree. Yeah,
I'll try to make sense of it. You'll try to deny it, or vice versa, or whatever.
Which, by the way, we have a special guest tomorrow. He just confirmed his email to send it to. So we got a big special guest tomorrow. I think you're a pretty big fan of him, actually.
Ryan Hanley. I mean, the dude is an absolute G when it comes to K-State coverage and broadcasting and really just K-State media in general. And also he covers the Big 12 really well. He's extremely entertaining to watch. And I can't believe we're actually going to be able to have him on for our Tuesday show when we preview the West Virginia K-State game coming this Saturday.
I agree. Question is, though, is Kansas State a playoff team, and is Colorado still a Big 12 factor? I definitely think K-State is a playoff team. It's definitely between K-State, Iowa State, and BYU at the halfway point. Now, there are 6 Big 12 games remaining. I do still feel like Colorado could play a factor in it, but when you lose at home to another team that's going to be a contender, he might be a pretender. So we will see, man. I don't know. Kenny, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know going forward with the injuries that Colorado has. I mean, I don't know if that's going to play a huge factor or not. Colorado is a one-trick pony. Okay. They are the epitome of one-dimensional. They have no running game whatsoever. All they can do is throw the ball. That's literally it. That's all they can do. We'll see how they do against BYU's secondary defense. We'll see how they do against Iowa State's secondary defense if they're playing them. Any team that has a secondary that's worthy of talking about I mean, that's all you have to worry. That's it. That's all they have to offer. Colorado is just a one-trick pony, literally. Like, that's all they
Absolutely.
have.
Absolutely.
Dion is incredible. His arm, he has a golden arm. Or not Dion, Shador. Shador has a golden arm. Congratulations. That's not how you win football games. You got to be able to run the ball, and you got to be able to stop the run.
And K-State does that. Absolutely. Okay, let's grade these positions and then move on to the defense. Starting with quarterback, Avery Johnson, back-to-back games of at least 2 touchdown passes. You can't give him an A+ because of the interception. I'm going to give him an A- though. He had 3 total touchdowns, 224 passing yards. I mean, he scored a touchdown on a broken 4th down play. I mean, he's the future of this team. I was super worried when he got hurt, came back, did really well, threw 2 touchdowns after that. So I'm going to give him an A-.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't want to give him an A because he literally had to resort. He got sacked a bunch. He couldn't throw the ball away. It was so frustrating. Like, why are you holding onto the ball? His ability to scan the field quick is not there yet. I don't know how, like, if that's a development thing or if he just doesn't have the ability to recognize the open man in a quick way. And he got sacked way too much. I think I said there was no way that he was going to get sacked once, and he got sacked 4 times. That's a problem. He has got to be able to be better in the pocket for me. The interception, that hurts, especially at the end of the game, and that almost, I mean, that could quite literally could have ended the whole game. But his ability to bounce back from that is something you have to take into consideration. But the fact that he wasn't able to do anything on his wheels, he was told not to. Can't really blame him for that. I'd say a B, a solid B, because although Avery is the one that threw the touchdown pass, and he had some really good throws. He made the one broken up play run touchdown, and it was a really athletic play that he got in. I still think he could be way better. I mean, we have to set the bar high for him because the talent that he has is undeniable. And I just think that he could do better. I mean, he got sacked way too many times.
Yeah, part of that's on offensive line, and he did miss some open receivers, but I don't know how you can give him a B when he scored 3 touchdowns and scored the game-winning touchdown. I mean, that
I'd
throw
say
was
a
dot,
high
dude.
B. I'd say a
throw was
high
a
B.
dot. I'm going to give him like a 91 if I had to give him a grade. So I'm
And
assuming
I'd
you
give
give
it
like
an 89.
okay, all right. So we're pretty close.
Yeah.
Okay, running backs. Running backs to me get a solid A. Can't get an A+ that drop by DJ on a huge 3rd down play. But I'm giving him a solid 95, dude. I'm giving him an A.
Would that be more of a receiver thing? Like,
So that's a running back, dude. That's a running back trying to catch the ball. I mean, he had 182 rushing yards, 220 total. I felt like there was a few times that Dylan could have hit a different hole than he hits. He's just still a young player. But in terms of running backs overall in the running game, I'm going to give it a solid A, 95.
yep. I'm just too biased against Giddens. I would give him. I'm just gonna if I were to grade it, it'd be like a 97. That is the only stint on his entire thing was that drop pass, which again, I mean, he's a runner. Like he just trucked the entire team, the entire defensive team, for the whole entire game, and then he had to go catch a ball, which eventually, which is funny, he actually ended up catching it later on and ran it like freaking 60, 70 yards, which, by the way, Steve, you did call like that play needed to happen because UCF did that play and it worked for them. And to all the teams that are going to be playing against Colorado, just do that play because it's going to work for you.
Yeah, they can't cover the running back out of the backfield. Okay, receivers. We've been hard on them all season long. Jace Brown, 6 catches, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dante Sivas caught a couple passes. J Jack caught a big 3rd and 14 pass. I'm going to go, this is going to sound crazy. I'm going A-. I'm giving the wide receiver group an A-. Felt like they finally played really good. And Jace Brown caught that big touchdown pass with a guy draped all over him.
Yeah, I think you have to give him a high grade. I think the issue is that I have is from where they were, it seems so impressive, to where you want to give them such a super high grade. But what's crazy is that this stuff is happening with other teams. Like the receiving core on other teams are able to pull this off every week, and so I think the fact that it's because they were so bad early this season that when they start just making these catches, that now all of a sudden they're like it's an A because they're able to pull it off. This should be happening all the time. I'll say I'll do the same thing, 89,
Okay.
B plus.
I dig it. What are you going to give the offensive line? K-State had 188 rushing yards. They did allow 4 sacks in a game. I'm going to give them a B-. I'm almost close to a C+, not 200 rushing yards, but still pretty dominant effort on the ground. But it did feel like a lot of those yards were after contact. They could have done a better job protecting the quarterback. But, I mean, they were blitzing every single play. So I'm going to go a B- for the offensive line.
Yeah. What is this comment here? Is he unaware of Tyler Lockett?
I mean, in a while. I mean, it's been 10 years. Been 10 years since Tyler Lockett graduated. So
That's true.
That's a long time. That's a long time.
I will say, I'm just saying, the Warner kid was good. All right.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not a future pro.
I know he's not a future pro, but I still think he was great for college.
What do you give an offensive line?
I agree with what I agree with what you said. A lot of those yards were because DJ, was being DJ. It was yards after contact. So I completely agree. But again, like I said, this is something I predicted way in advance before the game started. I said we're gonna literally be able to run all over this team, and it happened. I don't know what you want me to say. Like, I watch college football, so like I'm not just only watching my team. I watch other teams too. B- is fair. It is fair. Because you can't deny when we're in 4th down positions, we're able to get these conversions on 4th down. A lot of that has to do with the grit of the trenches there.
We're going to get to the rest of the Big 12 here in about 5-10 minutes. We do got to talk about the K-State defense, but no. Bo Scadaboo, baller. That run he had to seal the game, baller, dude. He's a good running back. He's not DJ, but he's very, very, very good. He kind of reminds me of Toby Gerhart.
He's physical, which is which him and DJ have that same characteristic. He likes to get in and run in between the tackles, which I love it. I love watching that kind of football. My least favorite kind of football to watch is what Colorado produces. Okay, next, we're moving on.
Yes. Okay, let's move on to the K-State defense. I'm going to bring up the team stats here. They had 6 sacks in the game. Oh, by the way, actually, before we do that, I'm sorry. We have to do this. There was a disagreement on who should win Cat of the game. The offensive player of the game. I'll let you win. This guy definitely deserved it. And who was it, Kenny?
DJ Giddens. This guy is insane. What do you want from him other than this? What do you want? Like literally any program in the entire nation would die to have this on their team. To have this as a statistic at the end of their game. Any program would want that. Anyone, Alabama, Georgia, anyone, if they had a running back that produced that at the end of their game, they would take it every single time, and twice on Sundays. Like, that's how impressive he was. The things that he was able to do on the field, his physicality, he's just performing at a high level, like a pro level. And you and I we've said this a bunch of times. We really hope that he stays for one more year, just one more year after this year.
I don't see it happening, but I hope so.
I pray he stays for one more year. That would almost for sure guarantee a college football playoff, without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like I said, DJ Giddens, cat of the game, 27 touches, 182 rushing, 38 receiving, 220 total yards. I don't know where we're at in terms of counting how many cat of the games he has, but he's at least 3 at this point.
Well, I'm going to actually tell you right now. And here's the thing. Jace Brown stepped up.
He deserves an honorable mention, player of the game, as does Avery Johnson. But how do you not give it to DJ Giddens?
Yeah, I mean, he is what quite literally. Look, Colorado had 2 weeks to prepare for K-State. Their defensive scheme was to do a zone defense. DJ had to he quite literally changed their entire game plan against K-State. They had 2 weeks to prepare. And the defensive scheme they came up with was not going to work. It didn't work. They tried it for half of a game, and they had to switch to man. Once they switched to man, the run wasn't as dominant, but that allowed us.
That's when the passing game opened up.
That's when the passing game went crazy. There it is. I mean, so Jace Brown, hey, you played well. But the reason why you were able to do that was the groundwork that was laid in front before.
So how many does he have at this point? How many player of the game does he have?
My bad. He has 4 right now.
DJ Giddens has 4 cat of the games through 6 games. That's incredible. That's freaking incredible. Okay, let's move on to the defense. The defense, let's be honest, struggled in this game, man. They did. They had 6 sacks. But, I mean, they gave up 388 passing yards to Shedeur Sanders. What was it? 3 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, though they shut him down on the rushing. Negative 29 yards rushing. I'll bring up the stats right now. Negative 29 yards rushing.
Oh my God, dude.
They did have a big interception late in the game, but unfortunately the K-State offense did not do anything with it.
Oh my God.
They were 4 of 11 on 3rd down, 2 of 3 on 4th down, allowed under 400 total yards. Kenny, your thoughts on the K-State defense?
Listen, we knew that going into this, our biggest weakness is the passing defense. That's our biggest weakness. If you were gonna attack K-State, that's where you had to do it. And the fact that not only did they have that going in, they have the strength going in. That's where they're good at. But we also dropped like almost our entire secondary. I was extremely worried. I was panicking because you and I both know, and most K-State fans that watch, that aren't just casual viewers, they know that this is a tough spot for K-State. And when you lose key players, our best safety, our best corner, I mean, it's stressful. But K-State being able to, we knew we weren't going to shut down the pass. We just knew that wasn't going to happen. But we were able to at least contain it enough to where we got the win. We made them one-dimensional, but honestly, they were coming into the game one-dimensional. I mean, like they don't have a run game. And I know that Dion said in his press conference, it was there, the calls were there. It's just bad execution. It's like, it's always going to be bad execution, Dion. You don't have a freaking rush team. Like, we know this, but hats off to the D line. They absolutely played out of their mind. Clanderman, what do you want from him? I mean, his best secondary players were out of the game. Okay, and the next man up mentality, yes, it goes into play, but you're also going against arguably the greatest quarterback in college football right now. It's gonna be tough. Okay, it's gonna be tough, but and at the end of the day, K-State pulled it off. They've got great wide receivers, but that's what they recruit. So
the fact that they completed 34 out of 40 passes and lost the game is insane to me. But I mean, that's what happens when you get sacked 6 times. I mean, that's just what happens. You know what I mean?
Poor clock management.
Clock management. Yeah, absolutely. And a few times I felt like K-State should have got after quarterback more than they did. They only were rushing 3 at sometimes, giving them even they were dropping 8, right? And that feels like that should be enough when there's only 5 guys out in a route, but guys are still getting open. I'll be honest, right now, Jordan Riley's not good. He is not playing good football. He's the only defensive back without an interception in a game. He keeps getting beat. He is not good right now. We are definitely missing Kobe Savage. It is 100% showing. He's not good right now, man. He has got to get better. Thankfully, there's a whole half of the season left, so he can improve, but at this point, it feels like he won't. VJ Payne is playing great. Your guy, Jacob Parrish, is playing great. Keenan Garber is struggling at times. Marquise Siegel, I still feel like, is playing okay at times, but man, this defensive backfield, it was frustrating to watch, man. It really was at times.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. It seems like the loss of Kobe put a big hole for like the leadership in that position in that area, and somebody needs to step up. And it looks like Siegel's that guy. From what I've heard, a lot of people say he is kind of like stepped into the leadership role. And I think it's just a matter of communication. Chris Kleiman said there were a lot of like technique errors. I don't know what that means. I mean, they saw the film, so they know like, oh, you should have maybe
like
turned your
turning head for
shoulder.
a pass, hips
Yeah.
or shoulders.
Yeah, it's probably little things like that, which if it is that can be coached. I think that this was the toughest passing offense that our defense is going to play for the rest of the year, barring that we don't play them in the Big 12 championship game. But I will say K-State did what they needed to do with the dudes up front. I mean, that's the highlight of the defense. We all knew going, like, the film's out there. The film's out. Nebraska just played them. And all Nebraska did was put 4 up front and rush the quarterback. And they won.
Yeah, in case I was rushing 3, blitzing 1 linebacker and keeping the other linebacker as a spy. And it was working on some plays, but man, those defensive backs they just kept getting beat. They did. Even the backups and starters, they kept getting beat. They've got to get better, dude. They've got to get better. But like you said, that's the best quarterback and receiver core K-State is probably going to play all season. So
yeah.
Okay, we're going to grade each position really quick, and then we're going to move on to look around the Big 12. Defensive line, to me, gets an A. Solid A.
Yep. You're not going to get anything lower than an A when you go and get 6 sacks in a game, which, by the way, I called for 5, you idiot. And they got 6, you idiot.
Linebacker. Yeah, I agree. You got called
out. And I'm the troll. I'm the troll when they got more than I thought that they were going to get.
Yeah, you got called out in the comments for that in case they actually had more than that. That's crazy. Linebackers, to me, is going to get an A-. Negative 29 yards rushing. They did well getting after the quarterback. There's still some issues guarding receivers. But I mean, when you take away the line of scrimmage, as a linebacker, you're doing pretty well. So I'm going to go an A- linebackers.
Yeah, I think that's a fair grade. Our defensive scheme was not heavy linebacker based. So for a good reason, because of what the team we're playing. So I'm going to agree with you, Steve. But what we did do, I mean, our linebackers shut them down. I mean, the blitzing, anytime the run was bound, Dion ended up having to throw to the flat a lot, and our linebackers were there to just seal it off. So,
secondary. Let's move on to the secondary. Marquis Siegel led the team with 7 tackles. He got hurt. K-State had an interception by VJ Payne. I'm going to go C-. I want to give him a D. I really do. They did have an interception in the red zone. C-.
Yeah. No. I mean, towards the end of the game, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want our true freshman, redshirt freshmen to do against their superstar receivers? What do you want? I mean, Dion was just picking on him, and rightfully so. If I was in I keep saying Dion. Shador, it's Sanders. Sanders was just picking on him the whole time. I would have done the same thing. I'm not gonna lie. I would have done the same. I don't care who's a freshman or not. And if you are a freshman, great. I'm gonna throw to you because you don't have the experience. Here, try it. So I definitely you can make a case for the secondary being a D. Steve and I won't argue about that. We won't argue
not.
about it.
I would not argue that.
You can make the case. We're just going to be charitable because
yes,
we're slightly on the homer base.
Yes, and we're gonna get the dog of the game here in just a second, the defensive player of the game. I do want to shout out Chris Tennant for booting in that. I think it was like a 48-yard field goal.
Yep.
That was a difference in the game. He's been pretty decent lately. So shout out to him and his special teams as well. Devon Rice back there returning kicks. Special teams wasn't amazing, but they weren't terrible. And like I said, he had the game-winning field goal. So shout out to CK17.
Yeah, that's another that's another player, Rice, who is going to end up being redshirted. I mean, Chris Kleiman quite literally said they're going to be really smart with him and where they play him and stuff because they don't want to burn the red shirt on him. And that's crazy. That means like they already see something, and that's like a future player for them. So keep your eyes out. Like people are going to know Devon Rice soon enough. I mean, he will be a namestay for K-State as long as he sticks with K-State and, of course, he stays healthy.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get into the dog of the game, the defensive player of the game. I think it's pretty obvious who it was. Brennan Mott, 4 tackles and 2 sacks. He was everywhere, Kenny.
Oh, my God, dude. What an absolute beast. I mean, he was just so impressive to watch. He's playing at a high level. I mean, the dude is just an animal, and that's what you want on your D line. Oh, my God, dude. He is just the pressure that he put on is just undeniable. I mean, and wasn't just him, obviously. The rest, but there were moments. I especially love when Shador he tries to spin out, and he spun out right into the arms.
Right into him, dude. And shout out to Mott for not doing his normal celebration, man. He actually did the Shador Sanders celebration with the fist. So that was a little homework done by Brennan Mott. Had to be the defensive player of the game.
He is. And Steve, we have finally got a game where we have a person on the defense that's gotten more than one.
Is this his second one?
This is the first player on the defense that has gotten 2, more than one.
Wow.
Players of the game. The first one. Everyone else has only gotten 1.
And I think it was back-to-back games, wasn't it? Or no? When did he get it?
I cannot remember. I think it was one of the first or second games.
Okay. All right. Well, he was all over the place against Colorado. So.
Oh, it was the first game when him and Toby got it.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Okay. So if you're a Big 12 fan, this next segment is for you. We're going to take a look around the Big 12 here for week 7. do a recap and all of that. Let's do it right now here. Let's take a look at Big 12 Week 7. Starting on Friday night, man. This was a crazy game. Arizona State, they're putting their best foot forward here, winning 27-19 at home against Utah. Their fans stormed the field. Bo Scadaboo, 22 carries, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns, including the game-sealing touchdown. Kenny, I know you watched a lot of this game before you went to sleep.
Cam Rising is nowhere to be found. The guy that was playing in Cam Rising's uniform was not Cam Rising. This guy was cosplaying as Cam Rising. He was wearing a Cam Rising suit. I know Halloween's around the corner. He was probably dressing up as Cam Rising. It wasn't Cam Rising. I have no idea.
Already? He's done. He's done for the season.
Is he really?
Well, the coach said he's out indefinitely, and then a report came out saying he's eligible for his 8th season next year if he decides to use another red shirt. But yeah, no, he's out indefinitely. So they're going to go back to Isaac Wilson. I cannot believe it. I mean, he at this point, he's done 2 presidential terms. Oh, shoot.
Okay. Jokes aside, even though it's great, I love the fact that Utah, start of the season, said that they were going to run the Big 12, that this was a joke conference, and that there was, all this and all that. They were almost as bad as Colorado. Colorado still takes the cake for me. But Utah, I have no idea what you're doing now. I don't even know how you can even look at yourself in the mirror. It's crazy. Cam Rising was throwing at people's ankles.
And when he wasn't, he was throwing to the other team.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Scadaboo, incredible. I mean, we already kind of touched on him. The dude is an absolute beast. Arizona State, you guys came to play, and honestly, their head coach Kenny Dillingham, whatever his name is, dude, 34-year-old head coach, youngest coach in the nation right now, or at least as far as I know.
Kenny Dillingham.
He
great,
is
great first name, right?
Best first name, honestly. He is turning this. Listen, what you're looking at right now on the screen, this has been said by a bunch of people, is the preseason number 1 ranked team versus the preseason last place ranked team. My, how the turns have tabled. If you know that movie quote, that's a good movie quote. But my, how the tables have turned, the turntables.
The turntables. Well, how the turn, yeah.
I can't remember the movie quote, but I know it's a movie quote.
It's from the Office, actually.
That's right. Or yeah. My, how the turns have tabled.
Yeah.
Arizona is sitting at 5-1.
They cashed the over on wins on the season, and their coach said the only fans that bet on the over on the wins are Arizona State fans. He wants all you Arizona State fans to put that money back into the program, back into NIL collective, so they can get even better for next year. Monster win for them. Vaulted them right into the top 5 and into the conversation for the Big 12 championship.
Not a soul. Not a freaking Tom Terrible. Not a soul other than Arizona State diehards.
I agree.
Not even the majority of their fan base. Quite literally, the homers were the only ones, and even they were suspect of this. Even they were like, yeah, well, there's a chance we could get 5-1. No one was calling 5-1, and no one was calling a win over Utah at this week. No one was.
And, they know how to win a couple close games, man, and they won a close game at Texas State. They won a close game a week ago against Kansas. They won a close game against Utah here. they're going to be a tough out, dude. They really are, and they're going to play K-State later this season. That's gonna be a fun game, man, because they're
at home though.
Yes,
They're
it
coming
is in
to,
Bill Snyder Family Stadium, so I'm definitely gonna be picking K-State. But this was a monster win for them against Utah for sure. So
this it's funny because the teams that came to the Big 12, they're just cutting each other's legs off. You know, like Arizona takes out Utah, then Arizona State takes out Utah, and then they're just BYU is taking out Arizona. It's like they're just cutting each other's legs off the whole time. It super fun game. I am really happy for Arizona State fans. You guys deserve every single moment of what you're experiencing right now. I mean, you should be over the moon.
They should be ranked, dude. They should be ranked in the top 25, man.
Easily, man. How are you going to be 5-1 and you beat a ranked team that was ranked higher than K-State and you're still not ranked?
That makes no sense to me. The Big 12 is getting disrespected right now. I hate it. Let's move on here. K-State winning 31-28. We just got done talking about our main podcast here. This was a monster win for Chris Kleiman and K-State. A great win for Connor Riley, the offensive coordinator. He was in his bag in this game. Basically, whatever he was calling was working. DJ Giddens was a man among men. 220 total yards, 25 carries, 182 yards, 2 catches, 38 yards. K-State was able to win a monster game in front of a sellout crowd at Folsom Field. Great win for K-State and shut up a ton of Prime, Coach Prime fans and Colorado fans.
Oh, you love to see.
You love to see it.
You just love to see a team like that, K-State going into their home, sold out crowd, all the celebrities there, under the lights, putting under a great performance. The score does not indicate the dominance of this game. I mean, it looks like it was a close game. If you actually would have watched the game, the dominance of K-State was on full display. It
should never have been this close anyways, honestly. Like there was a couple play calls that were very conservative, but honestly, if this game was played in Manhattan, K-State wins by 3 touchdowns easily. And I don't care anything about injuries. K-State had a bunch of them as well. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it at all. K-State won the game. That's all that matters. And this was a big win for K-State.
I already said this earlier in the podcast. I don't want to hear the cope. I don't want to hear the cope. You guys could take your copium somewhere else. And they're not even in this chat right now. They knew as soon as they lost, they couldn't show their face. You realize that you were on the top 25. I saw that the Red River rivalry wasn't even close. Longhorns blew the doors off of Oklahoma.
That's great to see as well. I mean, I really hate Oklahoma. They ran the Big 12 forever, and now they're struggling with a new head coach. But yeah, K-State with a big win at Colorado, and
right.
I still feel like Colorado's going to have a good season. They're definitely going to get to a bowl game, but K-State's shooting for more at this point. K-State is shooting for more. So another big game. This happened in Morgantown. Iowa State winning 28-16. That is K-State's next opponent. Also in Morgantown. Big win for the Cyclones, man. They stay undefeated and atop the Big 12, 6-0 and 3-0 in the Big 12.
It's a really interesting score, box score here. 0-14, 0-14. Like, what does it take them a little bit to get going? There
were some interesting drives. I'm not going to lie. There were some interesting drives that ended in very interesting ways, going forward and fourth down and all that. I got a chance to watch a little bit of it before the K-State game. I did not watch the entire game, but my gosh, 265 passing yards by Rocco Becht. Their running back had 3 touchdowns, 96 yards. I know they keep going between Hansen and Abu Sama, but I don't feel like their rushing game is exactly where they thought it would be at this point in the season. Garrett Green looked like he struggled in the game as well. Their offense really struggled in this game. But, man, Iowa State, you got to watch out for them. They got a very, very favorable schedule the rest of the way.
I think we got a hater here, Steve, in the chat.
I'm not even gonna look at it. We're just gonna ignore it at this point.
Yep. Next game, I suppose. Yeah, Iowa State showing that they deserve to be ranked in the top 10. I mean, They're playing really well. They're clearly, in my opinion, now, and we're going to do the power rankings. Man, this video is taking really long. Sorry for doing that 12-minute rant. They're clearly the best team in the Big 12. They're the most consistent. Their defense is undeniable. I mean, they're holding teams to like a couple scores. No, their games are low scoring games. Maybe we need to see them actually play a team with a solid offense still. That's my only nitpicking thing about Iowa State, is that like West Virginia was their toughest team to date right now.
West Virginia and Baylor are their two toughest teams they've played. Outside of, I guess, Iowa, that was a pretty big win as well. Yeah, I agree. Iowa State's wide receivers scare me, especially after last year to end the season. I mean, they had 39 total plays against K-State, or 38 or something like that. They had like 1,080,000,000 touchdown passes against K-State to end the season. Yeah, Rocco is an underrated quarterback for Iowa State. I agree, man. And I think his dad actually got like an award or something at this game because his dad actually went to West Virginia. But yeah, this is a big win for them. But like you said, they really haven't played like a top tier team yet this season. They will soon, though. They will.
Yeah, I mean, hats off to Iowa State. When they having them undefeated and now they're ranked in the top 10, it makes it look good. Makes it look really good. So, for the Big 12 in general, and you know, I love seeing these I love seeing schools that, first of all, Steve, I don't know if you knew this, but this is the first 6-0 that Iowa State's had since 1930 or something like that.
I believe it. I 100% believe it.
They haven't started 6-0.
I'll say this about Iowa State. They're finally going to get 10 wins this season. For the first time in program history, Iowa State is going to win 10 games.
And they deserve it.
Unless someone gets hurt. So
they deserve it. They've always been a fun program to compete against. And as for the fans, K-State fans always respect Iowa State fans. They're probably the one school that we can even stomach outside of, obviously like non-conference schools, I guess. I mean, but in conference schools, I mean, Iowa State's if I'm not rooting for K-State, I'm definitely rooting for Iowa State. So I'll say that. And then moving on to Arizona against BYU at Provo. What time was the game here? It was kind of
it was a big noon kickoff. So I think it was actually I think it was at 3:00, but it was their big noon kickoff game. So it was like their college game day type thing, but for Fox. I think it kicked off at 3:00. But I mean, BYU, I mean, they dominated this game, even though it was 14-7 at halftime. I mean, every single mistake that Arizona made, BYU not only capitalized on it, they turned it into a touchdown every single time. They are a team that you do not want to play, because they're going to do that, man. They're going to make every single play that you do not make, and they're going to take advantage of it. Their defense is for real. I think they had 4 turnovers forced in this game. BYU is legit, dude. And I'm glad we've already played them. I didn't like the way it ended, but I'm glad K-State is not going to play them again until at least the Big 12 championship, because they are very good.
Yeah. I don't know.
Also, by the way, don't you have something to say to BYU fans? Is there some sort of apology you need to make here, Kenny? Kenny, who did you pick in this game?
Yeah. Okay. So, I am not going to pick against BYU anymore, especially when they're at home. I just can't do it. It was looking good in the first quarter. I was like, okay, looks like Arizona. The only reason why I was doing this was because Arizona lost against K-State, then beat Utah, then lost to Texas Tech. They're like flipping back and forth with their games. They're looking good one game, they're looking bad in the other game. They looked good on their away game. They looked terrible at home. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe the coin's going to flip heads this time. And it didn't. So that's my fault, BYU. I know you're a good team. I had you ranked number 1 over Iowa State last week, but I don't know where this this saying that BYU keeps saying, like, oh, well, the other shoe's gonna drop. BYU at this point, just wait. They're gonna start throwing these games. I'm not seeing it. And
I've not heard you say, I'm sorry yet, or I apologize. I've not
I'm
heard you say it, Kenny.
I'm getting to that, Steve. I'm getting to that. I am sorry to all the BYU fans for picking Arizona. I felt like they were going to come in and be more competitive than this. But it turns out that all the preseason hype for Utah, UCF, Arizona, all the negative preseason talk for Arizona State, the hype for KU, all of the preseason go in the trash. Everything that was talked about in the preseason is all trash. Everyone was wrong. Everyone was wrong. The only thing that that's even slightly correct was that people said that K-State, Iowa State were going to be contenders. There was no one that said that BYU was going to be in that conversation, and we're happier in the conversation. We're happy about it. But everybody else, literally everyone else, they were wrong about. And all I'm doing, Steve, I didn't watch BYU, growing up.
I watched this entire game.
No. I'm saying game. I couldn't because I was doing something. But I didn't grow up watching BYU. I don't watch BYU every single day or whatever, or every day that they play. So I'm just going off of what fans are telling me about their culture, about their team, about things that they've said about their team. And they're like, well, put the brakes on. All right. Don't rank us so high. Maybe that's like the reverse psychology thing. Like, want to have that underdog mentality all the time. I know that that's a thing, but you guys have not shown that there is going to be another shoe dropping at any point. So I apologize for listening to some of the doubters for Utah. And I don't rarely pick the underdog to win very often. And I thought maybe this would be a good game to pick Arizona because they like to go back and forth. But I apologize to BYU. Your defense is insane. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, Tom Terrible said it earlier. Where is it? BYU defense is a turnover creating machine.
It is. And the thing 100%. Is, I'm thinking that either their field is cursed for everybody that comes in there, or that team is just, there's something about that team that creates turnovers. I don't understand. Hey, hats off to you guys. You guys are making these. The ball is just bouncing your way this year, and that just happens sometimes. You guys just have the sauce. You have the sauce this year, and it's cool.
And you need the sauce to win.
You
need that sauce.
You need the sauce. You need all the sauce.
Yeah. So BYU fans, Kenny, sorry. So moving on here. Last game, ugly game. UCF is terrible. They can't figure out who their quarterback is. When you can't figure out who your quarterback is, your running back can't do anything. UCF loses at home to Cincinnati, 19-13. Ooh-wee. I think this says more about UCF than it does about Cincinnati.
Hold on, Steve. I need to just tell you this stat real quick.
Let me hear it. Give it to me, Kenny.
13 points for this game. 13 points last week. 21 points the week before that. These guys are not putting up points anywhere. I mean, the one game they in the Big 12, they scored 35, and that was a comeback win against TCU, and they won by 1 point. I mean, they're non-con
and TCU is the second worst team in the Big 12.
Their non-con games look really, really good, but not who they're playing against.
They lost big time to Florida.
Well, yeah, well that, but I'm saying the ones in early in the season, UCF versus New Hampshire, 57-3, 45-14. And it's funny
New
because
Hampshire.
New Hampshire, right? Well, those games give RJ Harvey the top, and he's in the top 10 for rushing because of those games. Because look, in the New Hampshire game, let's take a look here. Player stats: RJ Harvey, 142 yards for 11 carries. He was averaging 12 yards a carry in that game. Then you go to the Sam Houston game. Player stats: RJ Harvey, 126 yards on 19 carries. Like, they look impressive in those games. And then TCU, which we know TCU is an absolutely horrible team. UCF, RJ Harvey, 180 yards, 29 carries, 6 yards a carry average. Other than that, they have literally done nothing. Absolutely nothing. Colorado, we just saw that what Colorado can do against a good running team. UCF, look at RJ Harvey's number: 77 yards, 16 carries. DJ did 100. That's their best running back, and DJ did 180 against Florida. RJ Harvey, 75 yards for 16 carries.
UCF is god awful. Third or fourth worst team in the Big 12 right now. They stink.
Easily. They don't.
But
And
I want to
what's
say
funny
something about
is,
Cincinnati, though. I do want to say something about Cincinnati.
real quick, one of my favorite quotes that keeps being said about UCF is that they don't know how to throw a forward pass. All right, go ahead.
That's true. That's true. I want to say this about Cincinnati. They're 4-2, and honestly, they probably should be 5-1 had they not blown a 21-point home lead against Pitt. Pitt's a decent team, but I mean, I think Cincinnati is a lot better than people are giving them credit for. I mean, they might be better than Colorado. I don't know. They're right up there. Good offense, bad defense. Their defense showed up in this game, though. I think they have a pretty decent shot of going and getting 7 or 8 wins this season. We will see. I haven't looked at their schedule, but considering what they've already done this year, I mean, they're on pace to go 8-4. So
didn't somebody say that, like, they're literally like 30 seconds and 2 plays away from being undefeated?
They are. I mean, they lost by 3 to Texas Tech, and then they lost by 1 to Pitt. So yeah, they realistically, like you said, could be 6-0 and ranked in the top 10. So I mean, they're right there, dude. They really are. So I do think they have a chance to get 7 or 8 wins this season. Cincinnati is tough. If it weren't for BYU, they'd be getting all the talk about how improved they are over last year. Them and Arizona State, man, those two teams are so much better than everyone thought they'd be. And KU and UCF are so much worse than everyone thought they'd be.
And Utah. You got to throw Utah on there now.
And
yeah,
Utah, you're right.
You have to throw Utah in there. But yeah, like, I agree with you, Steve. It's like you had this idea of doing this like 3 up, 3 down. We haven't even done our power rankings, Steve. This video is taking forever, and it's my fault. Well, yeah, like you said, the teams that have shocked in a good way were like, no one thought, and no one had any idea that Arizona was going to come out and play this well. Even Texas Tech fans didn't realize Texas Tech was going to come out and play this well. It's looked ugly, but they got wins. They got W's next to their games. So I don't know what you want from them. You know, it's like, all you can ask for is getting the dub, because at the end of the day, no one's going to remember, like you said, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years from now, no one's going to be like, oh, remember how close that game was? They're just going to see the W next to the name, and that's all that matters.
Absolutely. But yeah, that's the look around the Big 12 for week 7. We got to get into our power rankings because this is already the longest podcast we've ever had, and we're going to do another one tomorrow night. So
to make this even worth your while, go ahead and share this video. You have friends on Facebook. You of course subscribe, but take these videos that we have and share them. I'm sure a couple of you guys are, in some sort of Big 12 group or K-State group or whatever. Go ahead and just share these videos on there. Get this video circulating. Facebook, that helps us a lot. Get viewership, or text it to your friends, whatever. Get them to subscribe. We would greatly appreciate it. Again, trying to make sure that subscribe button works.
Yeah, and if you want to support us at any time, hit that little $ below. We are accepting super chats as of Friday. Let's go ahead and get into our Big 12 power rankings here, post week 7 here in the Big 12. Let's get into it right here. So, this can you see it very well? Do I need to zoom in more? I feel like I might need to zoom in a little bit more.
Probably zoom in a little bit there.
That's too much. Okay. So this is the current standings here. KU's last, BYU's first. I'm just gonna go ahead and copy and paste over here. We're gonna go from 16 to 1. I think we both had the same team for 16.
It's got to be Kansas.
They're terrible right now. Again, they're the only team in the Big 12 without a win against an FBS team. Their only win is against Lindenwood, which is an FCS team, which a couple years ago they were playing Division II teams. So
yeah. Nothing more to say. They're horrible.
Absolutely. I don't know if you guys can see it that well. I tried something different this time with the colors, and I don't know if it's going to turn out that well, so we might go back. We'll see. 15. Who do you have?
It's a toss-up between TCU and UCF. I want to say,
well, UCF won the game, so it would have to be TCU, right?
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah,
I'm going UCF 15 as well. They're still 15th for me.
You mean TCU?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going TCU. They're still 15 to me. They lost at home to UCF, which is a bad team. They lost at home to Houston, which is a bad team. They did beat KU, so that's why they're ahead of them. But yeah, TCU 15 for me.
Yeah, until Sonny Dykes can get it together. Sorry, that's just where you're at. 14 UCF.
Okay.
They have not demonstrated that they have a quarterback yet, and that's pretty insane. And I'll tell you why my 13 is different. Okay.
I'm going Houston at 14 because they beat TCU. Go ahead.
Really quick. What is your 13?
Oh, my 13 is definitely UCF.
Okay, so my 13 is Houston. So we can talk about this. This is our difference right here. This is our difference. So here's where I'm going with this. Houston at least has QB options. That's it. They at least have an option in the quarterback position. If UCF doesn't even have that, then I don't know how they're gonna.
Houston went 2 games without scoring a point.
That's true, but
2 games without scoring a point.
They can improve. Teams can improve.
And they have improved, but now they have that film out there from Zion Chris. But I mean, they're still. I think they're one of the worst teams in the Big 12. I think UCF. They have enough offensive pieces to be a lot better. They don't know who their quarterback is right now, but
their offensive line is horrible.
They're interchangeable.
They're at least Houston is fighting. UCF does not have an offensive line. I mean, it's bad, Steve. Like the areas that they're struggling in are the areas that are not. It's not good to struggle in those areas. Quarterback and offensive line, you're not going to score points, and they've demonstrated they can't. So,
okay, so that's the bottom 4. Let's move on to the next 4 here. Who you got at number 12? Because I'm going Baylor.
Oof, I was going to go Oklahoma State.
Okay, why are you going Oklahoma State over Baylor? Because I have Oklahoma State number 11.
And I have Baylor there. The only reason is because Baylor looks like they're actually trying to be competitive in their games. That's like they actually look like they're fighting. Now, I know I think I had this reversed the week before, but after watching or like thinking about it, I was like, Baylor actually does compete. I mean, they went to Colorado and competed, So, and they went into overtime and all the stuff. And, Dion was able to drop passes against K-State, did the same thing to Baylor. It makes me think, maybe Baylor.
I love that you keep calling Shadur Dion. That's my favorite part of this podcast.
Listen, to everybody who's watching this right now, I was out of state, drove through the night, got 1 hour sleep in the car while my wife was driving.
I know.
I went and I went to work for 8 hours on 1 hour of sleep, came home and slept for 4 more hours. I am exhausted.
That is how important milk is to Kenny.
And how important KSU Nation is to me, because
that is true.
I should be sleeping right now. But I'll say this: Baylor at least looks like they're fighting in their games, whereas Oklahoma State is like rolling over. I mean, they lost, and I'm probably going to get
38-14 at home to West Virginia.
Yeah.
But here's why I have them over Baylor. So they did beat Arkansas at home in overtime. Arkansas beat Tennessee, and we know Tennessee's right now is considered a top 10 team. There's enough pieces there for Oklahoma State to be a lot better than they are. I don't know if it's a coaching. I don't know if it's a players that they already got the money. They don't care anymore. I think there's better pieces right now at Oklahoma State than there is at Baylor. I mean, Baylor's a couple losses away from Dave Aranda having to find a new job. I'll be honest. Gundy's not getting fired. Aranda could. So that's why I have him number 11.
Yeah, Gundy's been their coach for like 20 years. He's not going anywhere. He is like as important to OSU as Bill Snyder is to K-State. Like, that's how important Gundy is for Oklahoma State University. He's not going anywhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Number 10, I'm going Utah. They have you're going with them number 10 as well?
You have to. You have to.
Why is that?
Because my 9 is Arizona, and Arizona beat Utah, and Cam Rising is nowhere to be found. You know the where's Waldo? It's like, where's Cam Rising? Like, that's what that is. I also have a 9.
I agree.
Utah is falling off, man. And you know what? I wouldn't be as worried about Utah if their defense was actually playing as advertised, but they're not. So, and if you don't have a quarterback and your defense is falling apart, I mean, tell me a Utah fan that said that this was going to happen, and I'll show you a liar. No, I mean, agree. Their entire fan base is in shambles right now that they've lost back to back. That's crazy. Oh
yeah, and I don't think Arizona is a good football team right now, as evidence of their games at BYU and at K-State, and then at home against Texas Tech. Now, granted, all of those teams are in the top 4 or 5, so they're not bad losses, but they did win at Utah. Kenny G is Energizer Bunny 2.0.
Sometimes I don't think so. Sometimes I don't think so, because I'm like dragging, but I do keep going though. So I get what you're saying there.
Should we move on to the next section right now? By the way, if you have any names for our sections of 4, because Kenny said we should name our tiers. Now, good. Bottom 4, next 4, pretenders and contenders. But if you have better names for each 4 sections, please let us know.
Please put it in the comments. Don't say it now, because I don't think we can read these afterwards, unless you can read them. I don't know.
You can watch it on the replay, and you can click on show replay live chat. Yes, but it won't show up as a regular comments.
Go home, maybe even get on Chat GPT, whatever. We just need some ideas for when they have like the A, B, C, D tiers, the tier rankings. We kind of want to be like, maybe like tier 1 is like Bill Snyder, and like D is like Ron Prince or something that like K-State fans would be like, he who should not be named, like on the bottom.
Yes. I mean, actually Stan Parrish should probably be the D grade and Ron Prince be the C grade. But
I know that they have ones for NFL that are like juggernauts, Super Bowl contenders, frisky and fun or whatever, but not good. Or
what is frisky and fun?
I don't know. I think
I know there's one channel that had like drinks or something as theirs, and so like I came up with like, okay, like the bottom 4 is just gonna be the drinks menu. They're not even good enough to be an actual drink. They're just the menu, and then the next 4 are the house wells, and then the next 4 are the house drafts, and then the top 4 are the top shelf drinks. But If we're not going to go alcohol, let us know. Let us know what else you got. Okay, back
He's
to
like, a lot of men have a tough time after injuring their right hand.
oh my gosh.
The thing
Okay,
is, I'm a lefty though, so
yeah. Okay, low tier, second tier. Okay,
I don't think
all right.
Steve even. I think that went right over his head.
Oh no,
Sorry,
I
guys.
heard it. I heard all of that. I understand it because that was a dig at Cam Rising. I get it. Okay,
No, but right hand. Okay, Steve. All right.
let's move on here.
Men have a tough time when they injure their right hand. Come on, Steve. All
Okay,
right, we'll,
so
we'll,
moving
we'll
on
move on.
to we had the bottom four, next four. This is what the next section. As of right now, I would consider the pretenders. They're not contenders yet. And I'm going to go Colorado. Number 8.
Oof.
Now, they almost beat K-State, but honestly, it should have been a lot worse than it was. I still think they're going to make a bowl game. Still think they're a solid football team. I had them 7th or 8th last week. I can't make them go any higher after a home loss to K-State. I don't want to hear anything about injuries either. Team sport.
Oof. I was thinking about putting them 7, but I think what you said about losing at home after a bye, yeah, you got to put them 8. Put them 8. That kind of convinced it for me. Cincinnati 7.
See,
No. West Virginia.
Yes, I was gonna fight you with that because I think West Virginia is 7 for me. I think they're 3-3 right now. Yeah, they're 3-3, 2-1 in the Big 12. They got a big win at Oklahoma State, but then they came home and laid an egg against Iowa State. In fact, if you look at their wins versus their losses, all their wins are against bad teams, and all of their losses are against good teams. In K-State's a good team. I fully expect them to lose this next weekend to K-State, obviously. But yeah, I can't put them any higher than 7th. I think they're a better team overall than Colorado. Like if they both played on a neutral field, I would pick the Mountaineers, but it could go either way. So
yeah, dude, so their quarterback is a gamer. They can run the ball, which we just established like what Colorado is horrible at doing, which is defending the run. And West Virginia, they run the ball just like K-State. So, and we're going to get into all that tomorrow with Brian Hanley in our pregame podcast on KSU Nation. But we're gonna leave them right here at 7. I think that's a really solid place. I need to see a little bit more from them, Steve, because the teams that they've beaten are kind of low tier, Kansas and OSU. So, you're beating low tier teams, but yes, you did go against arguably one of the best teams in the Big 12 and you lost. So, and it didn't look impressive on your end. It looked pretty bad at home. You want to see more from the Mountaineers, but I do think what you said about playing on a neutral field, I think Colorado is going to probably lose that game to the Mountaineers. So 7 for me.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go ahead and move on here. I think we both have the same number 6. I got Cincinnati. I assume the same for you.
Yeah.
I mean, they had it. What'd you say? A minute and a half away from being 6-0. They're a good football team. They just won at UCF by 6. They could have beaten both of the teams they lost to, Texas Tech and Pitt. In fact, they definitely should have beaten Pitt. They're a good football team. I don't think they're better than any of the teams above them. I think they're better than every team below them. Got them number 6.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Hold on. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just going to look at this right now. Last year, UCF played against Cincinnati and they won. So this was a little redemption game. And both of them were at Cincinnati. So, they was at UCF this time. Okay. So Cincinnati dishing out a little of UCF's own medicine to them, beating them at their home stadium. So that's nice to see Cincinnati getting a little revenge there from last year. So good on you, Cincinnati, for doing that. You're at number 6 now.
I got Arizona State number 5, which is huge for that program, considering they're picked last in the Big 12. Great wins the last couple of weeks against KU and Utah. Their fans are super excited to cash the over on wins. They're a lot better than people thought they'd be. 5-1. That's a great record for Arizona State?
I want to put them higher, but they lost to the team that I would put them higher against. That's my only problem.
So you
with
got Texas Tech number 4?
Yeah,
I do too.
basically only because of their record so far. But the fact that Arizona, it just looks like Arizona State beating Utah, that's huge. And I'd say like you can't really Texas Tech had a bye week, so you can't really like compare what each team did last week to like put them head to head, because the way I see power rankings is like, okay, yeah, you beat this person at this week, but like at this week they could be much better. That's how when I see power rankings for week on week, I think it should be like current power level, because let's just say like Travis Hunter's out for the season. Well, Colorado's power is now like down here when it was going to be up here. So that's how I view power rankings. I think that's, my opinion on how the best way it should go. Texas Tech, you had a week off, but your record is keeping you at number 4.
You guys won at Arizona. You won at home against Arizona State, and both of those are, not horrible teams. Obviously, Arizona State is a top 5 team. They did barely beat Abilene Christian. We still remember that. They lost to Washington State, which is a good football team. I do think they're in for a couple of losses down the stretch, but right now I have to put them no worse than 4th.
Yeah, you have to keep them there because of their record. I had them a little higher last week just because of their record. And because K-State was off last week. So I just said, K-State, they beat Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, not a great team. I have to put Texas above them because they won. And when K-State had the week off, but now I have them flipped because now Texas Tech had the off week. K-State went and won in Colorado. I have K-State at number 3. So not much to really say about Texas Tech. You're at 4. Let's see what you can do this week. Maybe you might move up or down, but
I also have K-State at number 3. I mean, I cannot put them above Iowa State or BYU, considering they got their butts kicked by BYU, regardless of whether or not you thought some of those turnovers were fluky. Turns out maybe BYU's defense is legit. They're a turnover creating machine, as everyone's been saying. But this was a huge win for them at Colorado. They're finally looking like the team everyone thought they'd be preseason, at least on offense. Their defensive line and linebackers are nasty. Their only weakness appears to be the secondary, which honestly, like, it's more of the safeties than the corners if you're watching K-State. But yeah, I have them number 3 right now. I cannot put them higher than Iowa State or BYU. And this is where things get interesting, because I had Iowa State number 1 last week. You had BYU number 1 last week. So my question to you, Kenny, is who is your number 2 right meow?
I want to see a dominant win from BYU on the road. Like, they won on the road, but I want to see the wins that they get when they beat K-State at home 38-9. They beat Arizona 30 something to 19. Those were at home. So until BYU can do that on the road, they're number 2 for me.
Okay.
Iowa State,
number 2 and number 1. Okay.
Yes. I wanted to have Iowa State play last week. I wanted them to actually play somebody. So they played West Virginia. That's a middle of the road team at home, or not at home, away. They played them at West Virginia in Morgantown. Tough environment, tough team. So the fact that they were able to go in there and put a dominant win down, I'm a lot more confident in Iowa State being ranked number 1, because they were, the teams that they played prior to that, not very good teams. I mean, Houston, who else did they play? Not thinking of it right now.
Yeah, I mean, they've looked better. I mean, in terms of the fact that they've both played Baylor, and Iowa State won by a lot more than BYU did. Now, granted, BYU was up by a bunch before Baylor came storming back. So if you're going to do transitive property, which, I mean, you really can't do in college football, but there's a reason why Iowa State's ranked higher. They have probably a better offense, probably a better defense. BYU is just better right now at creating turnovers, and that's why they're in the top 2. So this is really interchangeable. So if the season ended today, it would be BYU versus Iowa State. So it really would not matter either way. But I just think the eye test shows that Iowa State is better because of, like you said, they've done it on the road multiple times. BYU hasn't.
Matt Campbell has put together a solid team, and it's actually coming together quicker than normal for him. Usually these Iowa State teams take a while to get on the same page, and it has just fallen into place very early for him. And Steve, I don't know if you noticed this, but our top 10 are literally the exact same for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, even the ones that we don't agree on, it's only one spot off. And I feel like as we get more into the season, it's everyone's power rankings are going to start looking very similar because everyone's going to be playing everyone, and so you can really start ranking them based off of who they beat, right? And that's why I have Houston above TCU and TCU above KU. You know what I mean? And you and I both have Arizona above Utah. So yeah, and honestly, Arizona's going to play Colorado this week, so that's another way that we can start to rank these teams. So yeah, this is the power rankings post week 7 in the Big 12, bud.
Yep. Something that's I mean, we'll get into it, but not everybody has played their Friday games. I think BYU's up to bat for that. It'll be interesting, man. I mean, it's the parity in college football is all over the place, and it's looking like anybody can beat anybody. At least it feels that way sometimes, unless you're KU. Sorry, you're just a really bad team. But
if you're a KU fan, unfortunately, this may not be the podcast for you. Unfortunately, it may not be the podcast for you.
Steve, let's be honest here. Who is going to be a KU fan clicking on KSU Nation?
True, but I want to say one last thing here before we get out of here, because there was the preseason college basketball poll that came out today. And I want to pull that up really quickly before we get out of here, since it's already been a long podcast anyways. Might as well look around the Big 12 in terms of basketball.
Thank you guys for sticking around, though. I mean,
seriously,
we got 38 viewers. At one point, we had like 45 viewers watching. It's been the longest podcast. Let's just keep it going,
Yeah, we're okay. I'm going to pull this up here and then we're going to get out of here in just a second. So this is the top 25 that came out today. KU is ranked number 1 in the first AP poll. Alabama, UConn, Houston, Iowa State, Gonzaga, Duke, Baylor, North Carolina, Arizona. There are 5 Big 12 teams in the top 10, 6 Big 12 teams overall in the top 25. This conference is going to be a gauntlet when it comes to the basketball season, man. This conference is without a doubt the best conference in college basketball. Maybe the best conference ever.
Yeah, I mean, historically, we brought in Houston, which that school is insanely talented in basketball. Not so much. I mean, it's like Kansas and Houston. They're like taking the same direction for their athletic programs. It seems like, focus on basketball, maybe not so much on football. But I mean, as a Big 12 fan, you gotta love seeing that. I mean, this is also preseason, man. And if preseason has any indication, if the football preseason predictions have any indication of the preseason for basketball, I'm going to be worried if I'm any Big 12 teams in there, because it's a mess for football. It's a mess, like especially in the Big 12. The predictions
Absolutely
are all over the place, and they all are trash at this point. And hindsight's 2020, but the predictions were way off. In the
all
Big
these
12.
big name schools are obviously going to be here every single year in the top 25, just like Texas and OU is in football.
UConn,
all of
Duke.
that. Yeah, UConn, Duke, UCLA, Kentucky, blah, blah, blah.
UNC.
Yeah, all of that. And, maybe it's warranted. We're going to find out probably mid-February to late February is when we're finally going to figure out, okay, was that preseason top 25 legit or not? So, but yeah, this is a good look for the Big 12, and 6 out of your 16 teams are in the top 25, with 5 of them being in the top 10. So yeah, Randall Johnson says preseasons really don't mean much. Yeah, I know, I agree, but we had a hit on it since it came out today. So
Yep.
Kenny,
Wow.
this has been a fun podcast. I hope you get some good sleep tonight, bud.
This was a marathon, Steve, but it needed to be done.
2 hours. Almost
a lot needed to be said, Steve. These Colorado fans hit a trigger button on me, man. It was like I needed to come in hot because there needs to be some balance in the universe, Steve. When you run your mouth with no repercussions, one of these times somebody needs to come over and smack you in the mouth. You know what? That's what I was doing, Steve. That's why I couldn't be on the podcast yesterday. I drove all the way to Colorado and I just spent a whole day slapping these Colorado fans upside the head, trying to give their head a shake to realize that they're not in the matrix. Like, get out of the matrix. You guys literally are in this weird cult where you think you're the greatest team of all time. That's what I was doing all day yesterday, Steve. I was just smacking them upside the head, knocking some sense into them. And I try to get them, I'm doing the Lord's work, Steve. I'm trying to get them sober off of the copium that they're injecting into their veins after this loss, Steve. And the second they lost, I knew that these copium addicts were going to go at it. They were just coping left and right. They had it on a freaking drip, this copium drip right into their veins, Steve. I had to get over there and do the Lord's work and just, get them off that copium.
Well, you did a good job of that, starting with that 12 to 13 minute rant to start the pod today. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, share it out to your friends. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs because the views and watch hours are there. We just need the subscribers. So go ahead and click that subscribe button. Make sure it's working, all of that. There's really only one last thing to say here, bud.
Go Cats! Woo!
Damn,